Most people think leaving happens the moment you realize you're unhappy. But for many of us, unhappiness doesn't make us leave, it makes us stay longer. We stay in relationships that drain us. We stay in friendships that no longer feel mutual. We stay in jobs that quietly erode our spirit. Not because we don't see the truth, but because something deeper is holding us there. Today, I want to talk about why you stay even when you're unhappy, and why staying often has less to do with weakness, and more to do with patterns you learned a long time ago. Because staying isn't always about love. Sometimes it's about survival. When you grow up learning that stability matters more than joy, you learn to tolerate discomfort as long as things don't completely fall apart. You learn that being fine is safer than being fulfilled. So when unhappiness shows up, you don't panic. You adjust. You rationalize. You minimize your own needs. You tell yourself, it's not that bad. Other people have it worse. At least I'm not alone. And slowly your standards shift. Not upward but downward. One of the biggest reasons people stay is hope. Hope that things will go back to how they were in the beginning. Hope that if you just communicate better, love harder, wait longer, something will change. But hope becomes dangerous when it replaces reality. You stop responding to who someone is now, and keep reacting to who they were when things felt good. You stay attached to potential instead of patterns. And over time, you confuse patience with self-betrayal. Another reason people stay is fear of regret. Not fear of staying, but fear of leaving. You worry that you'll look back and think, what if I didn't try hard enough? What if this was as good as it gets? What if I'm the problem? So you overtry. You overexplain. You overforgive. Not because the relationship is working, but because leaving feels like admitting failure. Especially if you were taught that loyalty means endurance, and love means sacrifice. But real love does not require you to disappear. Then there's emotional familiarity. Even when something hurts, if it feels familiar, it can feel safe. If chaos, distance, inconsistency, or emotional unavailability were part of your early environment, your nervous system may recognize those patterns as normal. Not healthy, just familiar. So peace feels boring. Consistency feels suspicious. And unhappiness feels manageable. You don't stay because you enjoy it. You stay because your body knows how to survive it. Another reason people stay is identity. You don't just leave a relationship. You leave a version of yourself. The partner. The fixer. The loyal one. The one who stayed when things were hard. Sometimes staying feels easier than asking, who am I without this? So you hold on not to the relationship, but to the role you've been playing inside it. And if you've invested time, energy, years, walking away can feel like erasing your own history. But leaving does erase what you lived. It honors what it taught you. There's also the fear of loneliness. Not being alone but feeling alone. Unhappiness with someone can feel less scary than the silence that comes after leaving. At least with them, you know what to expect. You know the rhythm. You know the pain. The unknown feels heavier than the familiar ache. But staying to avoid loneliness often creates a deeper kind of isolation. The kind where you're with someone, but feel unseen, unheard, and emotionally alone anyway. Then there's self-doubt. When you've been subtly dismissed, minimized, or made to question your feelings, you stop trusting your own discomfort. You tell yourself, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe this is just how relationships are. So instead of listening to your unhappiness, you interrogate it. You stay because you're no longer sure whether your pain is valid. But unhappiness doesn't need permission to exist. If something consistently costs you peace, clarity, or self-respect, that matters. Sometimes people stay because they confuse attachment with love. Attachment says, I need you to feel okay. Love says, I choose you and I still choose myself. When attachment runs the relationship, leaving feels like withdrawal. Your body craves reassurance. Your mind craves familiarity. And unhappiness becomes the price you pay to feel connected. But connection that requires self-abandonment is not connection, it's survival. Another quiet reason people stay is the belief that leaving makes you the villain. You don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to be the one who gave up. You don't want to be misunderstood. So you stay, slowly hurting yourself instead. But choosing yourself doesn't make you cruel. It makes you honest. And honesty is kinder than resentment. Here's something rarely said. Staying can feel productive. You feel like you're working on it. Trying, growing, learning. But growth that only flows one way isn't growth, it's exhaustion. You are allowed to stop trying. When trying cost you your sense of self, you are allowed to leave. Even if nothing dramatic happened. Even if there was no betrayal. Even if they're not a bad person. Even if you still care. You don't need a catastrophic reason to choose peace. Unhappiness is information. It's not asking you to panic. It's asking you to listen. And listening doesn't always mean leaving immediately. Sometimes it means getting honest with yourself first. Asking questions like, do I feel safe being fully myself here? Am I growing or just enduring? Am I staying because I want to or because I'm afraid? And if the answer scares you, that's okay. Clarity often does. Leaving does mean you failed. It means you learned. And staying doesn't mean you're weak. It means you were doing the best you could. With what you believed at the time. But at some point, staying becomes a choice. And when you're ready, not pressured, not rushed, choosing yourself will feel less like loss. And more like relief. If this resonated with you, you're not broken. You're becoming aware. And awareness is always the beginning of change. This is Dear Heart. A space for love, healing, emotional truth. And learning how to choose yourself without guilt.